Hi there, Pauline Adrian here. I've had a question recently, and I get this question from time to time. At what age is your child able to self-regulate? It's a great question. It's one lots of parents are really interested in, especially when you have a sensitive child that maybe has a lot of intense emotions. So I'm going to give you a short answer and then I'm going to give you a longer answer that kind of fleshes out some examples. So the short answer is it's really individual. Some of it can start really young and some of it takes longer to build. So let me give you some examples of really young. So a really young example of self-regulating or self-soothing would be a baby who learns that when they put their thumb in their mouth and suck on their thumb, that helps to soothe them and that helps to calm them. Okay, so that's a really early example of learning to self-regulate or self-soothe. The reason that I say it's individual is because it depends a lot on how much support kids have from regulated adults around them who are caring for them to help them come back into a regulated state on a regular basis when they get upset. So that's how we learn to regulate, right? Babies are born without any development of the part of the nervous system, that's the ventral branch of the vagus nerve. That branch of the nervous system is completely undeveloped when you're born, when all of us are born. So everything we learn about regulating comes from co-regulating with a regulated adult around us, right? Who's usually our caregiver. And so examples of different ages again. So I've given you the baby example. Maybe your toddler or your preschooler learns that even though they get a little bit upset when you go out and leave them with a babysitter, say, for example, or a nanny, maybe they learn that, excuse me, that if they hold on to their teddy bear and remember that you're coming home pretty soon, because you've talked about it and you've practiced that before, maybe they're able to soothe themselves by holding on to their teddy, or maybe they're able to soothe themselves as they're going to sleep by having their teddy and a special blanket with them, right? So, and what we call those in nervous system regulation terms are external regulators or external resources. So those are things that are outside of us that help us to regulate ourselves, right? And we all have them to some extent, whether, you're as an adult, you consider that to be nature, or whether that's a hot bath and a cup of tea. Those are things that are external to us that help us to regulate. As children get older, when they have repeated, and I'm talking, often 10 or 20 or hundreds, hundreds is common, of repetition of having a regulated adult help them to regulate. That's what helps to build that wiring in that part of their nervous system for self-regulation. So at some point, and especially if as your kids get older, you're starting to help draw their attention to noticing when they start to feel a bit dysregulated and noticing, how they feel when they feel a little bit better. But it's mainly from having the repeated experiences of regulating with you as their caregiver. That's what helps that nervous system wiring to get laid down in a way that supports them to gradually start regulating themselves. So say at 6 or 7 years old, your child might be old enough or practiced enough, I should say. It's not really about age. They might have had enough experiences where they're able to regulate themselves or calm themselves down a little bit in some smaller situations. But there's still some situations, maybe somebody says something to them at school that feels unkind and they haven't experienced that before. So that's a whole different new kind of stressor that they haven't experienced before, and they're going to need your help again. So that's why I say it's so individual. It can be, and it's the same for us as adults, right? You might be able to regulate yourself in the face of a particular stressor at work. You know, your boss is angry at you, or a coworker does something or whatever. You might be able to, use your thinking mind or your belief system or your self-talk or a walk in nature to help regulate yourself in the face of some of those stressors. But on the other hand, something happens with your partner, or your child does a particular thing that triggers you, and those things you still struggle to regulate with, right? So I hope that helps you to be able to see that it really is individual, and that even when we get to adulthood, there's times when we need to um, rely on somebody else that we feel connected to and that we feel safe with to help us to regulate. Okay. So um, it's, we weren't born to be in a bubble with no connection, right? We're wired for connection. And so, yeah, so we all need some help sometimes, but I hope that really illustrates that it's really the repeated experiences of having somebody help you regulate, along with that helps you to develop that over time, I should say, and that helps children to develop that over time. And that even if they're able to regulate themselves, say in a particular situation with their sibling fighting over a toy at a particular age, maybe they can do that one day, but maybe the next day they're also really stressed because there was an exam at school that they don't feel like that they don't feel like they did very well on. And so that same situation that they're usually able to regulate themselves in now, in this particular day because they're already stressed about something else. Now they need a little bit of support because they lose their patience or lose their temper or whatever. So I guess the best suggestion that I can give you for parenting practice is, that if your child is losing their patience, then they still need your support, and we just keep supporting them, and eventually it does show up on its own. And I think I'll just share this one last little thing before I close, because I think I did this in a written post recently, not on a video, but you'll notice when you help your children with this when they're really young, that they do start to learn it, and that you start to see them offering it to other people as well. This empathy and this intention to support people to feel better. And one of the places that just was so heartwarming and so sweet to see in my son was when he started offering the same sort of support when I was trying to co-regulate with him. He started offering that same kind of support to our pets, like to our cat or our dog, if he thought that they were upset about something. And that really tells you that it's landing and that it's impacting their nervous system, and that they're learning empathy, and they'll also be able to use some of those skills to help regulate and calm and soothe themselves. So I hope that's helpful. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, as always, just pop them in down below.